Welcome to these sci-fi guys. How you doing tonight? Want to go ahead and start things off. You guys can follow us on Twitter. These sci-fi guys at gmail.com. All right. And with me, as always, is my buddy John and my buddy Chad. How y'all doing tonight, guys?
I'm good.
Doing
How are
well.
you?
Good, good, good. And you guys saw earlier what we're doing tonight. The movie is Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. It was a little known movie. It was actually done back in like 2004. Jude Law. It had Gwyneth Paltrow and um, her name.
Angelina Jolie.
Thank you, Angelina Jolie. Can't remember that. And it's funny is she's only in a small portion of the movie itself, but yet they
Yeah.
went ahead and gave the as the third one so she could get equal pay as the other two we got. It was pretty funny. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and start off right away. I'm going to ask you guys some questions here. All right. So, what y'all think? It was night. I mean, what y'all think of the movie itself? I mean, it was portrayed to be back in the 1940s style sci-fi. Y'all tell me what you think. How about Chad? Why don't you start us off?
I I really enjoyed. I watched the thing when it came out in 2004. I love the actors. I like Jude Law. He's not my favorite, but he's good. And that's the only reason I watched it was that those three was in there. But I watched it as hey, neat, based in the 1939, right before we entered in World War II. I just find it funny how, and it's but I find it funny that it's just the sign on the robot looks almost like the iron, almost the closest symbol to Germany at the time. But with that said, I love the movie. I love the color, how they did it. I don't think it was the first at not the first at this time, but it was that type of coloring was coming out and getting close to. So I loved it. I loved how they did the movie.
Okay,
I
John,
would
how
say,
about
and
you?
I would definitely highly agree with that. I love the film, love the simple, adventurous nature of it. Like we were talking about slightly earlier, Dave. I mean, I just enjoy it. It kind of harkens back to the Indiana Jones days to me. Just that sense of adventure that's just fun and quirky a little bit at times, but overall, just a great adventure that I love to watch, and I enjoy all the kind of aeronautics that are in it and just the simple ideas that they fleshed out through the film. I mean, in terms of it's a plane, it can go underwater, just simple ideas like that, but that just kind of make it fun and quirky as well. And I just truly enjoy the film. I'll talk about some of the changes I would make later, because there were a few, but overall, I mean, just a great adventurous little film to me, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, one of the things is that I think they really uh, tried to make it also kind of James Bond type uh, movie. Especially like you were saying about the aircraft that was flying, and then all of a sudden it becomes a submarine. And Polly's just like, "Oh, what's happening?" And then it just kind of goes right into it. Uh, so I know said it's I can never say the guy's name right. It's total off, right? Um, I think
Tolton
Totenkopf,
Totenkopf. Thank you.
Totenkopf.
I'm horrible with names. So were you guys surprised at all? I mean, Chad, I know you said you've seen it before, but were you surprised at all, John? I mean, when they came up there and then he's dead.
I mean, it definitely caught me off guard a little bit, but then again, playing with the way the film was, it kind of makes sense with the robot idea. So in the back of my mind, it was kind of there, but at the same time, I was like, oh, okay, cool twist, and just kind of playing into that. So I would say not necessarily surprised, but it was still a good little twist.
So, Chad, how about you? I mean, I know you said you've seen it before. What did you think about the whole, you know, him? They were all trying to find him, and then he's been dead for several years.
Yeah, and I would have. See, the thing is, it didn't really surprise me when I first watched it, but it was a twist enough to say, "Hey, he's dead." But I would have thought he would have made him a robot just like his follower was. That way, something was like him carrying his legacy on. But that would have been a bigger twist. That's later on the topic, I might say. But it wasn't a bigger surprise to me as it was trying to play up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, they really tried to to make him seem larger than life, especially with the whole when they came up there and it looked like the two Tesla coils, and then you saw his face kind of going back and forth. And fun fact is, all of that was actually the actor who had passed away 15 years before that, the movie. And it was different things that they had taken from other movies and then they pieced together in there. It was pretty cool. I thought that was a unique way to do that. And you guys know that 95% of this movie was basically in one room. It was,
Hmm.
they had little objects that they could pick up. You know, you could see them like holding the joystick or whatever. But all the rest of it was all CGI. There is
Hmm.
two parts that weren't CGI actually inside of um, I want to say Carnegie Hall, but that's not what it is. The
Radio
radio
City.
Radio
City
City.
Hall. Thank you. That one actually was different pictures. They took pictures and then they all blended them together to make it look like they did. And then Polly's office actually was an office that they went to and filmed it. It was already done for another movie, and they just basically put the green screen behind her, and then just went with that. So, all right. So let's go with our next question. If you could change anything about this movie, what would you change? And let's start with John.
Yeah, I got this one all day. Uh, the biggest thing comes down really to style, I think, and not necessarily changing the 40s style, because I actually think they did an excellent job at encapsulating kind of the style of films made in those days. I've gone back and watched a lot of classics from that era, just in general, in my own time, try to catch up on film history. And I think they did a good job at encapsulating a lot of what that style was back then. But at least for me personally, Chad, the color grading was just not it. The kind of fuzziness to it was just a little off for me. Because a lot of older films really are a lot more clear, at least to me, and that style of cinematography kind of threw me off. Now, on the flip side of that, I enjoyed how it kind of made it more almost comic bookish, because a lot of the scenes looked very similar to that, and I think that was intentional. But a lot of that style just kind of threw me off. Um, and I also think I might change a little bit of just the general, uh, a little bit of the pacing. At times it was a little slow, at times a little quick, but overall that was fine. My biggest quirk, and I don't know why it bothers me so much. It's just that the, the kind of haziness and kind of grunge feeling I had that just kind of threw
Hmm.
it off with the style I felt like they were trying to encapsulate. It just threw me off.
Yeah, I exactly understand what you're saying. There was some parts to me, you know, well, but it was kind of going back to the 50s and 60s look of television. If you go back and look at the original series, let's say of Star Trek, they would do that where they would have the woman's face would be clear, but it would be kind of fuzzed all around it. Uh, I think that's just a way of a stylistic way of filmmaking. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I would have liked something maybe a little different, but um, so Chad, what about you?
Yeah.
What's your opinion and what would you change?
Yeah. Thing is, there have been some changes they could have done. I mean, beginning where the second attack, where the flying drones were coming in, and thing is, it he pulls up in the base. Oh, they about this bows out. Why don't they go ahead and get some planes up in the air, like make a sense of urgency? So just let me look for a minute. I would have the urgency there, and that toy that ray gun that the guy had that worked, and then towards the end, that shake the gun, maybe it'll work then. Shake the gun. And it was like, oh, does it work by shaking it? So I would change a little odds in, make it look like, hey, it's more there. But yeah, what I'm saying about the color, yeah, it's been, yeah, but yeah. It's I liked it, but obviously I would have changed it just a little bit, make it more clearer. But this part where Polly was in her office and she was talking to the boss, that one scene where she the cut to where the hat was down. I don't know if anybody's seen the Falcon, Maltese Falcon with Humphrey. It almost reminds me of him in his office like that. Like she's a private eye.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of saw that the same thing. Um, okay, here's two pieces of trivia. I want to know if you guys saw. All right, when Jude was actually flying the aircraft, in between, you had all the robots were lined up, and then he turned this way, and then he shot the grenades out at the sides, right before while he was trying to rescue Polly. If you actually look at the scene behind him, you will see King Kong up on the Empire State Building. And then, of course, when you see the newspaper clippings of all the different stuff, when you see the one for Japan, you'll see a silhouette of Godzilla. So,
Godzilla.
yeah, yeah. This movie has all kinds of little Easter eggs like that, and it's just quite fun to do that. Okay, so Captain, Sky Captain. All right. Uh, did he really love Polly, or was he more into um, Frankie? Y'all
I
jump
don't
in.
know that I can. I don't know that I can say that he was more into Frankie, but I would
Oh,
definitely qualify him as stringing Polly along.
Hold on. Before you keep going there, I need to say what I would change on the movie. I
Oh yeah,
totally
you do.
forgot that since you were just talking about that. Okay, Noah's Ark thing has been done to death. Uh, I don't understand why they were stealing all these generators. I mean, were they supposedly taking those and putting them into that big rocket ship, or what? I mean, I think there was some scenes missed. Okay, if you were stealing these things, why are you stealing them? Kind of let the audience know what they're used for. Or have a scene where you can see them being installed on the rocket ship or something. You know, yeah, I'm like Chad. I totally agree with why didn't you knew these things were coming? Why weren't you prepared and have everything on the ground? Kind of reminds me of Independence Day that we watched last week. All those ships, the fighters were on the ground, and then they just come swooping in and just taking them all out. You know. So anyway, okay, John. I mean, that was my big thing. Again, stylistically, I like the '50s, the '30s look. I thought it's something different. It's not, oh, we're in space and this and that. But like Chad was saying earlier, it was very reminiscent of Nazi Germany. The big
Hmm.
robots. I absolutely loved the flying drones, where they were a bird, where they had to
Oh
flap
yeah.
their wings at sometimes. I thought stylistically those were fantastic.
So
So, well, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to you were saying, telling us about Sky Captain. Did he really love Polly, or did he really, dig Frankie?
Again, I don't know about how well he dug Frankie or not, but I know he seemed to be stringing Polly along and just kind of having her there for the ride. Now, she was definitely very clearly into him, but on the flip side of that, I really don't think he was into her. I think that was just oh, well, I guess you're here now. I'm just going to let you come along for the ride. And I know we have history, but like, whatever. Because he just did not seem to be flying that way at all.
Okay, Chad. How about you?
well, here's this. You look. I don't think at first. I think he didn't like Polly. He has history. Didn't he blames her to sabotage his plane back in what mission it was on. But the thing is, you look when he he goes finally goes in the totem call for air and getting out. Polly looks in the morning and saw on the plane the little lettering upside down in the mirror spelled out Polly. So, and it kind of leads to believe he was into her, but didn't want to be into her. But with Frankie, seems like he was infatuated with her. It's like one night, one fling, it was best pals, really, not nothing really there to me.
Yeah, I kind of saw Frankie as the uh, exotic Lamborghini that you want to drive once, or twice, and you're like, "This is awesome." And then, but Polly is more of your daily driver, your minivan that you're comfortable in. You know, you've got comfortable seats. I just saw something recently about Lamborghini Countach. I was like, oh, I love those. Those are, one of the cars from the '80s. They were great, but the visibility is horrible in there. So you actually can't even look out the back window. Most of the time when they back up, they open up the door and they kind of lean out. Things like that. I just kind of, I was like, oh yeah, I could kind of see him thinking Frankie that way. Like, this is cool, this is awesome, but not, you know, what you want to have in your life every day. But then at the end, if I was him, I would have lied to her and said, no, nothing happened, and then be done with it, but he didn't. So, that's why I was kind of confused on some of the other stuff. So, well, that's pretty much this movie. It's definitely not anything like we've seen yet. It's not science. I mean, it is science fiction, but it's as we mentioned earlier, it's totally stylistically different. And for next week, here I got just some audio clip that this will kind of. Supposed to loop.
Nice,
Hey, it
nice.
looped. It wasn't supposed to loop. All right, so yeah, the final countdown. This is a time travel movie where the USS Nimitz actually gets thrown back in time right before Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So you guys will definitely. I think y'all will definitely enjoy this. It is different. Um, it's great for discussion. Um, you know, like the one we're watching now is, there's only so much we could talk about because it wasn't really a super long movie, um, but it was fun. Uh, that next one, there is a lot of what ifs
Yeah.
that
What
they
else?
could have done with what if, what if, what if. I know Marvel has a series on Disney Plus, or at least I think it's still on there, where it's all these what ifs. Well, what if Captain America didn't get the super serum, but Peggy got it? Or what if you know what Star Lord got raised by the guys in Wakanda? Things like that. Just what ifs. And this next movie is definitely it's going to be a what if scenarios. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, John, because
I
Chad's the one that
definitely
picked this
have it.
movie. It's an oldie, um, and it's definitely dated.
Yeah.
Uh, for sure, because it was 1980. I mean, when you look at the aircraft carrier, you're going to see them flying A7s, not even F-14s. Okay, it's
Oh
A7s and
gosh,
A6s. They're
God
they're
bless.
flying some old. This is
Well,
basically
there had some Tomcats in there.
1970s.
There
Oh
had
yeah,
some Tomcats in there.
they did. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
It's been
Remember
again.
they had two. They had two that was coming in and splashed two zeros because they were touring around
I
with them.
don't remember that. We'll have to watch the movie again to remind ourselves that. But anyway, but yeah, you'll still see a lot of it. I mean, you can definitely tell by the uniforms, the outfits, the uh, what have you. There are some slow
Yeah.
parts, but there are some pretty cool parts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a total. It's kind of like it just makes you think, like, oh, what if? So,
Mhm.
all right. Until next time, everybody. We appreciate you guys watching us, and peace out.